We have Galaxy Digital founder and CEO Mike Novogratz joining me now. Mike, talk to us about what you're seeing under the surface. I think a lot of people are watching Bitcoin go absolutely parabolic and wonder what is exactly driving the flow. Who's driving it?
Well, listen, this is probably the first time in the history of Bitcoin that we have true price discovery. And what I mean by that is this is the first time that anyone who wants to buy it has easy access to buy it. And so, right, baby boomers have $85 trillion of wealth. Their wealth is, for the most part, managed through registered investment advisors who now, at least half of them or some portion of them, can just buy the ETF. And so you're seeing a step function in new owners of Bitcoin, which is driving, I would say, a frenzy in the whole crypto ecosystem, right? So how crypto always works is Bitcoin gets bought and some people sell a little bit to buy Ethereum and they try to play the catch-ups and the altcoins. And I would say we've gotten to very frothy levels. You can see it in the funding rates of the altcoin market, how much you get paid to actually lend out your coins in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the alts. And so you saw it in the equities, the public equity markets, right? MicroStrategy, Marathon, all the kind of public equity bellwethers really went parabolic along with Bitcoin. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see some correction and some consolidation. But I'm very loath to pick a Bitcoin high because I really do believe this is price discovery. Will we test the old high? Most likely. And you'll probably have some consolidation. But I still think we're going to end the year much higher.
It's interesting to hear you kind of come in with some caution in the middle of this euphoria. It begs the question, what's also the new low?
We broke out from 45,000. And so that would probably be what should hold us if there's a real correction. You never know why corrections come. Something happens and people, shift mindset. And there's a lot of people that have bought recently. I don't think it'll get there, quite frankly. I think if it corrects, it probably corrects to the mid-50s before taking off to the new high. First the old high, that 68, 69,000, where we got pretty close. But I do think then you're going to see, and partly this is, if you look at Fidelity or any of these big platforms that have so much baby boomer wealth, just shifting 2 to 3%, 1 to 3% of those assets, encouraging their customers to shift to Bitcoin over time, which has been an amazing diversifier, is a monster number, right? You think about, like I said, 85 trillion of baby boomer wealth. 3% of that is 2.5 trillion, right? The whole market cap of Bitcoin is only a little more than 1.2 trillion. And so, again, we're going to see a step change function. We're in the process. And I like to call it price discovery. A good friend mentioned that. I was like, he's dead right. That's what it is.
Well, even if you're worried that we won't hit the new highs right away, begs the question, where do you think Bitcoin is a year from now?
Much higher. Listen, how do you put yardsticks around something? Right? We know gold is a $12 trillion asset. Bitcoin's about a tenth of gold. Could Bitcoin be half of gold at one point? Sure, it could. It will be. And at one point, it will be larger than gold. Right? Again, for every Charlie Munger, God rest his soul, who passes away, that money is finding its way into Gen Z and millennials. And they feel much more comfortable with digital gold than old clunky gold. I'm kind of halfway in between. I like a little of both. I got some gold coins that we give out on our podcast because it's, you can touch it. But I go to a lot more Bitcoin than I do gold.
So what does this mean for the new people getting in? Do you worry at all at this point that a lot of these retail investors in particular are buying at highs?
Listen, in every mania, in every excitement, people are going to buy at the wrong level because it feels easy, and then they're going to get washed out, and they're going to sell at the wrong level, and then it's going to go back up, and they're going to say, I can't believe I sold. Like, that's just part of speculation, and it's part of investing. You could say the same with NVIDIA or Tesla or anything that has monster moves. Everyone has FOMO. And so, yes, some investors are going to buy at the wrong level and then stop out at the wrong level. What has been unbelievably impressive about the core Bitcoin community is just how resilient they've been. Down, I remember doing an interview with you a year ago, at 18,000. And the core Bitcoiners just took pain. And so I don't think the core group of people that have owned this thing and really loved it and promoted it, there are no sellers there. Michael Saylor ain't selling. And the, new people are going to kind of ease in. Listen, I don't think you're buying it into your 401k and selling it a month later, right? And so most of this new money, I think, is going to be sticky money or hodler money in crypto terms. But the retail, the young speculation that's happening on, all the apps and on Robinhood and on Coinbase and everywhere else, that's going to have blow off tops and blow off bottoms, and people are going to get chopped up like they always do in speculative manias.
Listen, if you think about what's happening right now as well, you have to wonder, with the halving around the corner here, how much is already priced in?
Again, Paul Tudor Jones taught me, like, year 3 of my Wall Street career, prices are set at the margin. When we have more marginal buyers than marginal sellers, prices go up. And that's what I mean by price discovery. There's a new army of buyers. There's an army of salespeople. I mean, what BlackRock is doing is breathtaking, right? That's an army of salespeople being endorsed by their CEOs saying, guys, this is an important part of the future. We didn't have that 6 months ago. And so I do think it's going to be hard to figure out where equilibrium is in the next 6 to 12 months.
So say that the demand stays constant. Of course, we've seen more demand with these Bitcoin ETFs. And you have the halving where you'll have the new coins minted daily dropping. We know that miners don't control the whole market, right? There are still a lot of large holders out there. What do you think the float really looks like right now?
Sonali, think about it. Before the halving, with that 60,000 Bitcoin, it's about $54 million a day of new supply. Right? We have one customer who is one of the retail apps that pretty much buys $30 to $35 million a day just with us. And I'm sure we're not the only person they buy with. Right? There is a tremendous global demand for Bitcoin. And so when you see what's driving the market day to day right now is at 8 o'clock at night, all the ETFs talk about how much they bought or sold, and it was $500 million or $400 million. As long as those numbers stay positive, you're going to see some momentum in Bitcoin. The first day they go negative, people are going to sell off Bitcoin because they think, the ETF funds are going to slow. And so that's kind of like the insider's way of looking at this in the short term. But that's a little myopic. Let's look each month at what the total flows into Bitcoin is from that ETF community plus other communities. After the halving, that 54 million goes to 27 million. I mean, that's a bid-ask spread right now. And so there's just not a lot of supply. This is one of the least inflationary assets or most deflationary assets there is. It's why, when you see our government spending so much money, people are drawn to this narrative.
So what do you think about certain features of the market right now? You think about liquidity out there, you think about leverage. Do you like where both of those things stand, or are any of those things out of whack?
Well, there's a tremendous amount of liquidity in the market right now, a shocking amount. I mean, I was looking at just some of the volumes of the stocks that traded. Forget the ETFs, which traded record volumes yesterday, but look at MicroStrategy's volume yesterday, or Marathon, or Riots. The U.S. equity market has monster volume in crypto. You're starting to see it on the exchanges, and the crypto exchanges. And so plenty of liquidity, which means that lots of people are getting leveraged. I think the market is too leveraged right now. It happens after huge runs. You have leverage at the max, at the highs. There will be a washout. I don't know when it is, today, tomorrow, 2 weeks, a month. It'll be, I hate to call things healthy washouts because it never feels healthy when you lose money. And when there's a washout, the price will go down. But there will be a washout. People can't sustain this much leverage. And remember, a lot of the offshore trading platforms can give you 50, 60, 70 to 1 leverage. And so you got a lot of, millennials and Gen Z YOLOing it. And they will get some will make money and a lot of them will get wiped out.
How do you describe the difference now, Mike, between the leverage you're seeing in the system versus what you saw in 2021 that caused a lot of levered players to go bankrupt?
Well, I think the big institutional players have less leverage, right? I mean, very few people are buying an ETF with leverage. And the broker-dealer community or the kind of core players, I think, learned a lot of lessons. And so I always said, like, we don't take a lot of leverage. Like, why would you take a lot of leverage on an 80 vol asset? In some ways, it's the definition of insanity to lever up an 80 vol asset. But retail still loves leverage, and you're going to see this boom bust in the short run with an overall really positive trend as people just keep deciding to allocate some of their portfolio to Bitcoin.
Do you think it's a bad idea for there to be levered Bitcoin ETFs on that note?
No, I don't. I think, the libertarian side of me says, a 2-to-1 levered ETF, people are big boys and they know what they're doing, right? We've got products all over the place. I don't want to be telling people, how much to bet or where they should bet. If I see someone betting 15-to-1 on something that's as volatile as Bitcoin, I'll tell them, I think you need to go to your shrink here. That's just a recipe for disaster. But I think, small amounts of leverage in anything is fine.
Given the run-up we've seen in Bitcoin in and of itself, what do you think about the crypto assets outside of Bitcoin, particularly with the interest you're seeing around Ethereum and the prospect of an Ethereum ETF?
Yeah, I think that's the next big question for the community. Will Ethereum ETF get through? I know it doesn't feel like the SEC is making it easy. Are we, the same logic that the Bitcoin ETF got through on, which was there's already a futures ETF. If you believed in that, how dare you not believe in a cash ETF? Holds for Ethereum. And so my bias is it gets through sometime this year. But we'll see. Gary Gensler has been very careful about not declaring Ethereum a security. And you can have your own idea why. Not declaring Ethereum not a security. And you can have your own hypothesis why or why not. I would say it opens the gate if one proof of stake, crypto protocol like Ethereum is not a security. Well, what about the next one and the next one and the next one? And so all of a sudden his argument that these are all securities would probably go out the window. And so I'm sure there's a lot of internal to and fro around this question. But the reality is we already have an Ethereum futures ETF, and that was the logic that got the Bitcoin ETF approved. And so my bias is it happens.
What about you? Is Galaxy Digital going to go public in the United States this year?
You could call the SEC and ask them when they're going to accelerate the group of companies that have been trying. Listen, we have had a very regulatory unfriendly regime of the last 4 years. We're seeing some thawing of that in D.C. I don't think it really thaws until after the election. And I don't even think if the Republicans win the election, it'll thaw fast. But I think if the Democrats re-win the presidency, I think you're going to see turnover pretty quick. My sense of the congressmen and senators in D.C. is they know we need to do something. And, it's not politically the right time, but I think it'll happen as soon as we get a fresh start.
Now, how do you see other crypto-related stocks, particularly the exchange? If you think about Coinbase, right? You think about yesterday, and a lot of people talking about how you can still trade ETFs, but there was some trouble trading on Coinbase for some users yesterday. Does that impact the exchange?
It's a good news, bad news. They were so busy, they had so much business that the circuit breakers went off, and so. Listen, I'm sure Brian Armstrong is a very, smart guy, and they've got a huge engineering team, and they are probably working really hard. That doesn't happen again. But it just tells you they are in pole position in this country, in this market. And listen, if I'm candid, it's been un-American and unfair that some companies got through under the Jay Clayton regime and are able to access the capital markets, and a score of others, including us, did not. They trade at higher multiples. They trade with great volume. And so it's a big advantage being a U.S. publicly listed company.
Do you worry about missing the boat, though, here? Because you do see the ETFs now. So why would somebody buy into a crypto-related stock when you can just buy into crypto?
Because we do a lot of different things. Galaxy's got an asset management business. We have that literally went from, a small asset management business. We've added $4 billion in AUM in the last 2 months. We're now over $8 billion in AUM. We've got a sales and trading and derivative business that's booming. We've got our own mining business that's having an amazing run. And so when I look, we're very diversified, and it feels really good right now. It didn't feel really good a year ago, right? It was a survival and chase loose balls environment. And now it's, hire more people and keep building. Tokenization is coming. Will it happen this year or will it happen the following year? My guess is it starts this year. That will be the next big thing in crypto. And so this transition, it didn't happen as fast as we all thought it might, right back in 2017. But we are moving towards a tokenized world. We're moving towards a more digital world, and you're going to see more decentralized systems, not supplant centralized systems, but integrate with them. And so this is not a 2-year sprint. It is a 10-year, forced march. But this idea of crypto pipes and transparency and identity being digital, computers, when you think about AI computers talking to each other, they're going to talk to themselves in a digital currency, in a digital language. And so stable coins is going to be bigger and bigger. And Galaxy's trying to be part of that whole ecosystem. And so I think it's a very different play. Listen, all the crypto stocks right now are correlated with Bitcoin because we're so early in the cycle. But in the long run, I think you'll see big differentiation.
Hey, Mike, we're getting some questions from viewers as well. And, the question I'm getting is similar to what I was thinking myself. If the narrative around Bitcoin before was an inflation hedge, or then it became a store of value, and now we're being asked if Bitcoin is not used for commerce, what is its purpose? What's the narrative about Bitcoin?
I think it's always been the same. In some ways, it's a report card on fiscal prudence. It is a store of value. You can, it's a debasement of currency, a hedge. And so I say this all the time, a house in America in 2011 cost $190,000. Today it's $400,000. That's the median house, right? So we have debased our currency. We've had asset inflation. At times we've had goods inflation. When you're printing as much money as we're printing, when we have constant now 5-6% of budget deficits, hard assets go up, and Bitcoin is a hard asset for the new generation. It is digital gold. And if you just keep on digital gold, this is why people are buying it. And that narrative is powerful. What would change that narrative, that adoption narrative? Well, we have a new president that probably not Biden or Trump, and he gets Congress to pass a balanced budget amendment or a Simpson-Bowles amendment, and we start trying to take that 130% of debt to GDP back to 80. Right now it's headed to 250. And so that is literally the ad. If you just look at the graph of debt to GDP in America and many other countries, and that is the advertisement for why people buy Bitcoin.
Hey, before we let you go, Mike, quickly here, what are your favorite trades right now?
Listen, it's like I said, it's been a great run. And so trees don't grow to the sky. The hardest part of managing risk is knowing when to take a few chips off and when to put them back on. And so, listen, we're really long this space. We're using this uptick to hire more people, to look at how to build Galaxy, for the future. So I guess being long my own stock is my favorite trade.
Galaxy Digital founder and CEO Mike Novogratz, we thank you so much for joining us thousands of dollars away from a fresh high in Bitcoin.